And we're back! I don't know why I said that like that. Welcome to part 2 of this review, unhinged unboxing of new Pip decks. Hey, Happy New Year. This is the Pipsqueak Tarot, which is the cutest name I've ever thought I've heard of, and I wish I'd thought of it, by Kitten Chops. And the Pipsqueak Tarot is a Marseille-style 83-card Pip Tarot deck. Read the cards with fresh eyes and curious courage. Copyright 2023 by Kitten Chops. So again, this was not on my radar somehow. And part of that is that I have not been super connected to social media. Like, I'm on it a lot, but I'm not sort of connected to it. I'm sort of, it's like dissociating while actively scrolling, I guess. Anyway, so I sort of don't notice things the way I used to. and then the creator reached out to me and said, "Hey, I think you might like this." And I was like, "I really think it's cute." So let's take a peeky poo. It's very colorful, and so in the vein of people who or decks for folks who maybe are like Marseille curious, this was a good year for those folks too, because of this, the Metanoia, because of the Star, the Estrella Tarot, because of Auntie Kay's Tarot. These are good times for people who are curious about Marseille but don't like either the sort of European, royal overtones of the actual thing or just the limited color palette. So this is a very sweet guidebook. I mean, I haven't read it, but I just like the I love an unusual choice. So there's a little guidebook, and this has got a very handmade artistic feel to it, which you also know I like. And there's a little bit of shimmer. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can see that. It's got some shine and some sparkle. And it's a really nice sort of petite card size. So this, if you watched the one I just did, the Metanoia, these are, I would say, pretty standard issue sized. And these are a little smaller than that. Which, as someone with small hands, I appreciate. And when you're doing readings on the road, also nice to have things that just sort of, I don't have, there's a reader locally who I see who has this amazing gunmetal, suitcase with, all his supplies sort of, and I just have literally a tote bag my friend gave me and I throw my shit in there. This, it reminds me of the, oh gosh, I think it's called the Children's Tarot, actually. And it was by an Italian creator, Lele Luzzati, I think. And it's out of print now, I think. I'm saying a lot. But I loved it. I still have it. And it was actually one of the first Pip decks I got. And so this has just a very kind of hand-sketched, colorful, illustrative in the sense of when I think of illustrative, I think of illustrations. It reminds me of the books I read when I was a kid, and I don't mean that pejoratively. I like that about it. I like a playfulness to it. I loved Maurice Sendak's work. I loved Tommy DePaola's work. Those are art illustrations styles that I still respond to and feel an emotional connection to. And so this feels like those. There's again, sort of just to playfulness. It is whimsical, which if you know me, is a thing that I am allergic to it. But, I can curb my own cynicism. And I like this too for folks who, again, are Marseille curious. Because I think there's so much freedom in reading Pip decks. And that was what I discovered when I did it. And my transition, my sort of gateway into that was the Wild Unknown deck. And I didn't I would read that deck sort of by superimposing Rate Smith images onto it until I stopped doing that, until I started learning other things. And I'm so thankful for, I guess, the openness that deck brought out in me. And I think that was also, owed to folks like Kelly Fitzgerald from The Truth and Story, who are really sort of like, I think, just like offering or showcasing or like saying, oh, look, here's this other kind of thing. Of Bendov's work. There was just a moment, at that point where, I don't know, we were sort of challenging the dogmas, and it opened up new ways of reading, and I feel like that it absolutely made me a better reader. It for sure made me a more confident one. Oh, I didn't notice the edging on this either. Oh, so there's this nice matte. I love matte edging. I am not a big fan of gilding. It's fine. It became so kind of ubiquitous that it started to me to feel tacky. But I do love matte edging. That sounds so disgusting these days, but whatever. I love, so what it did was it opened me up. And this is the long-winded way of getting to, I want people to feel that. I don't want everyone to feel like they have to read Marseille cards or any decks they don't like. Like, you shouldn't force yourself to do things you don't like. That's bad. But what I do think you should do is play and experiment with other things, because there's so much. And that's, again, like, I am not a easy person. I am very stubborn, and I get pissed off easily, and I am hard on myself. And for some reason, I am not as bad in that realm of divination as I am with almost everything else in my life. Like, I have somehow managed to enjoy the journey of being a diviner, and my own evolution as one is very strange and weird, and kind of, you see much of it on this channel, because I started this channel as I was beginning this sort of, okay, I've been reading for a long time, it's not feeling right. And I started making videos to kind of put out content that I was looking for and not finding. Anyway, it leads me to this moment. But the thing what I'm really getting at is, like, I was really lucky somehow to not be my usual stubborn self and to be open to a deck like the Wild Unknown or to Marseille decks, and then to find real beauty in it. And then, as a reader, to find confidence, and I think that's when I became a reader, like a real reader. Some people will say, like, well, how do you know you're a real reader? I think it's different for everybody. If I had to define that for a student, and when I'm asked, what I say is that you can do a reading without reciting memorized definitions, by which I mean you have a foundation, but you're not just repeating things you've memorized. You can read the cards contextually. That doesn't mean you're not using meanings that you found, right? I'm not saying that it's not about using your foundation, but what it's about is having that and letting it give you the confidence to read contextually and say, oh, I know the Hierophant usually represents oppressive systems, but in this reading, I'm getting a sense of a three-way because of the three figures on the card, right? And so triangulation or sexual, whatever. That, to me, like, when you can do that confidently, that's, to me, when you're a real reader. And for me, that came sort of as I was writing Tarot on Earth. Because I was in that book codifying everything I had learned by that point, and then testing it and seeing if I really meant it. And, and then you keep going. If you read my two books, One is about reading with pip decks. The other is more about reading with non-pip decks, but it's applicable to pip decks. I kept changing, and you keep changing. And I'm remarkably lucky because in a lot of my life I can be very pedantic and stuck in my ways. And again, I'm sort of rambling about myself rather than this deck, but the point of this is that, to go back to my initial thought 10 minutes ago, is that I love that there are all these pip deck options on the market now, because I think it's going to encourage people to experiment and feel more welcome. There's something a little cold, a little rigid, a little off-putting about Marseille decks. They are a face built for radio, as they used to say. They're like the curmudgeon. They're like Mr. Darcy in a Jane Austen novel, I guess. They're sort of like starched and uptight and prissy, but then like you get to know them and they're like burning with lust for you. Whereas other pip decks, including those that preceded Marseille decks, the old Italian decks, and those that followed it, are much more like openly flirty and sexy. Like the Marseille decks to me are like the uptight guy, but once you get his motor running, he's a beast kind of thing. Like that. These are much like easier to be in a relationship with because they don't require quite so much special handling. What the fuck am I talking about? I don't know. Anyway, it's I mean, Jesus Christ. I'm not stoned. I'm not anything. I am just stir crazy from being sick and stuck in the house, and I hate the holidays. I love the lights. I love the decorations, but I fucking hate the holidays, and I just hate New Year's Eve, and for no other reason than just that I do, and I'm hungry because I didn't eat lunch. So, take that, me. Anyway, I love this deck. It's charming. And that, to me, is the whole point of it. And here's some extra cards. So this is giving very, like, St. Francis to me. So, as you know, I do not include extra cards when I read, and so I won't include these. But I will shuffle it for you and show you how lovely. And maybe I didn't really provide much commentary on the deck. I don't with pip decks because there's not a whole lot to say. But I like this, a lot, and I'm very happy it's here. I'm very happy to share it with you. As I am with a lot of pip decks, because they're, I just enjoy and am so happy that there's now an interesting market in them, and options for me as a reader to play with and enjoy. Even if I do have a relatively limited palette of decks that I work with regularly, like I do love to pull out things that I don't work with a lot and just see what they have to say. I love to go back and explore a deck that I liked but didn't get to know. I like to know that some decks are there. I like to know, when someone asks me, oh, what about this? Or I'm looking for a deck that I can sort of go to the shelves and say, have you looked at this? But that said, I don't know, maybe it's getting older, maybe it's just been a weird year or whatever, but I do tend now to want sort of a smaller core of decks that I regularly call on. And in that list now, I would say, of course, the Sun and the Moon. I would say the Estrella Tarot was very much my go-to pip deck this year. Zaporizza, not so much lately. That one seems to have sort of quieted down, but I definitely think of it as sort of a core reader. The Margareta Peterson. The World Spirit. Again, one I used a lot but don't much anymore. They always sort of remain in the cohort of just the ones that are really effective for me. So here we go. Look how cute. Again, like, cute is a thing I'm often allergic to, but not in this case. Because, again, it's playful. And I think the thing that I love to say, and say time and time again, is that tarot started as a game. I don't need the cards to look like the tools of a ceremonial magician. What I need them to do is help me translate the messages, right, that want to come through for the client or for myself. Sometimes cuteness irritates me. And examples of that would be things like a Hello Kitty tarot, right? Or I don't know. I'm trying to think, because I don't have that many. So I'm actually like looking up at my shelves to see if I can think of an example, and I can't, because they just don't stick around very long if they make it to me at all. Like the Owl Tarot, right? Llewellyn has this Owl Tarot. Cute, not helpful. This is both cute and helpful. And I like to have decks that are sunny in the case that I'm reading for someone new. And I do, because I put it in my bio at the fair, tend to attract folks who have never had a reading before and are a little nervous. And that's a niche that I cater to, right? So as much as there are some decks like the Lubanco Tarot might be one of the most perfect tarot decks ever. And I thought it was going to be like the Sun and Moon, where I was like, I'm going to read this all the time, and I don't. And one of the main reasons why is that when I did use it, a bunch of people said, whoa, this deck is intense. A bunch of clients. And I said, okay, this is maybe not the right one for, the Halloween market. But anyway, now I'm just blabbing. So anyway, the Pipsqueak tarot, again, just, I love a pun. I love a joke. And it's later than I thought it was. Anyway, love this deck. Just yay for this. And again, I will leave the creators' info below. Excuse me. Happy New Year. Take care. Be well.